This is Don't Panic, episode number 171, recorded August 7th, 2017. Audiobooks for dogs. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic. I'm your anchor, Sean Jennings, coming to you from our headquarters in Ludlow, Mass., joined, as always, by our New York City correspondent, Dan Miller. Dan, what's the latest on the story?
Well, it's rainy, it smells bad, and I wish that the drainage here was better.
Absolutely. Thank you for that report. Dan, now we hand it over to our weatherman, Colby Skies. Colby, how are things at the beach?
Rainy. It actually doesn't smell that bad. Smells
that,
like
that
mostly,
needs to be Rhode Island state slogan. Rhode Island, it doesn't smell that bad.
It actually doesn't smell that bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like that's a risk when you're at the beach. It's like, it could smell bad. It's a real problem. It's a thing that happens.
Wow.
But it's not. So far, the internet is holding up well, though we had a stormy internet seas before.
We'll keep our fingers crossed as we head forward into the uncharted waters. Oh, I should say charted. This is episode 171. Guys, what's the good word? What's been going on? Anything of note?
I moved.
You moved. That's right.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Colby. You moved to the beach. What an upgrade.
No. Not quite. I am closer to the river in Boston.
Can you swim in that?
I think you can. Like, technically you can. Like, you could jump into it. Whether or not you should, it's unclear.
Fair enough.
There are like famous songs about the dirty water in Boston. So, at your own risk. Sing us one of them? No, I can't. There's one called Dirty Water. You should look it up. It's good.
Okay.
It's actually, I'm not sure that it's a good song really, but it's local character.
But it's a famous song.
Flavor. Yes. They play it at the baseball games and stuff. Yeah, I moved. So cool. That happened.
And that went well?
Yeah, well enough. I'm still dealing with Comcast. So, I chose to postpone I was supposed to have a Comcast appointment today, but I chose to postpone it and come to the beach instead.
Good idea.
Yeah. Especially because, like, the internet's half working. It's just not working at the speed at which I'm paying them for it to work.
Why would you expect that?
Right.
I don't know.
It's Comcast.
I don't know why I would have expected that, Sean. I don't know why I would have expected that, like, if it let me check out online as a self-installation, that I would actually be able to do it as a self-installation.
No,
why would I think
it's a self? But it's not yourself. It's someone. It's some other self.
Right. Some person is going to install it by themselves.
Yeah, yes. It's a professional self-installation.
Yeah. So that's delightful.
What do you think about self-checkout at the grocery store? Was this a Do by Friday topic? I don't think so.
Oh my God. Our first original idea in 4 years. This is fantastic.
If it wasn't a Do by Friday topic, it was a Erotic on the Line topic. Sorry.
No more original ideas.
But I'm curious what you think. Do you take advantage? Will you do a self-checkout? Like, where does it fall? Is it always self-checkout if possible? Only interact with humans if necessary? Only do self-checkout if all the human lines are full? Where do you fall?
I usually go for whichever one's empty. I think if everything's empty, it depends on how much stuff I have. If I have a lot of things, I'm probably going to go to the human because it is just easier sometimes. If I have like one thing, I'll go to self-checkout. I feel like self-checkout has gotten better in the last couple years. And by better, I mean it's like up from a 50% failure rate to like a 25% failure rate.
It's still really bad.
Yeah. And by that, I mean like 1 in 4 times, like I have to like press the button to ask for help.
And there's never anyone
Or God
around.
forbid you bought some beer and it's like, beep, beep,
right.
beep.
You shouldn't even attempt at
if
that
I'm
point.
if I'm buying alcohol, I just don't use self checkout. It's just not an option.
Sean?
So I don't know if you guys have ever used this at some of the Stop and Shops. They have handheld scanners. Have you seen these?
Yeah.
Where it's like a little, it's like you're registering at Bed Bath and Beyond or something. But it's a little scanner gun, and you scan as you go through the store. And then when you get to the checkout, you scan another barcode. All your groceries show up. You just pay and then you leave, and you bag as you go through. That is the best supermarket experience. It does not. That's like only beaten by delivering the groceries to my home.
So I've seen like scanner power users go through, like they have like, you know, the like little old lady grocery carts that they own, and they go through and they scan stuff and put it in the cart, and then they don't even bag it at the end. They just scan and leave.
That's what I did.
And they're out. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's amazing. It's the best.
Right.
Now, the problem with that is I don't shop at Stop and Shop anymore because I live in a town with a big Y. The thing about Big Y, where I worked for 3 years, is they have made a point of saying we refuse to have self-checkout. We're a customer-focused organization. We want you to interact with people. No, absolutely not. They are always...
Well, okay.
No.
Here's the counterpoint that I heard on this other podcast. If you go to Big Y or Stop and Shop, any grocery store where you have self-checkout as an option, you're paying everything you buy some overhead that's paying for the salary of the person behind that checkout thing, and you're not even using that. You're just throwing money away. Why do this extra work? Why sit through this 25% failure rate, bagging things yourself, scanning things, trying to look at like the piece of fruit that you picked up and figure out which of the bajillion things it is on this little pictogram? Let them do that. You're paying for it either way. You don't save any money, and you arguably certainly don't save time.
That's actually a really good point, Dan. Why am I not getting a discount to check out my
Let me
groceries?
tell you why, Sean, because this is just a scheme for them to make more money.
Probably. Yeah, you're right. That's fair. Nonetheless,
I still think it's worth it if there's like people in the grocery line and no one at the self checkout, because like frankly, people in line at the grocery store, no matter how few items it looks like they have, they're a total wild card. Like anything could happen. They could be paying for their
thing. Yeah.
They could be paying with a check.
Carriage.
Yeah,
they got like
right.
25 bags of cat litter.
They could have expired coupons that they're going to try and use.
You would be amazed at just the unbelievable bullshit people try to pull at the checkout counter. It's absolutely insane. I once, not to tell a whole bunch of supermarket stories, but I'll tell one, which is I once had a gentleman come through with, we had floss, and it was like 10 for 10. Of course, you didn't have to buy all 10. It just one was $1. He bought.
Also, I didn't know that was true until I was like 22 years old.
But it's not always true. It's true like 90% of the time. But then it's really annoying the one time it's not true. They're like, no, you have to buy all 5. No, but he bought 50 things of floss, which, by the way, how long does it take you to go through 50 things of floss? But he had a coupon for every single one. But because of the terms on the coupon, he had to check out each one individually. So we had to run 50 different transactions for this man to get like 25-cent things of floss, and he bought 50 of them. No joke.
Wow.
So people are the worst.
That's pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure it takes me like 6 months to go through one thing of floss, maybe even longer than that.
Of all the things,
I don't floss that often. I should floss more.
And trust me, he was an old man, and his teeth did not scream, "I floss all the time." So I think it was more about the coupons.
The principle of the thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Huh.
Yeah. So. No, I guess I'll keep putting up with people for now. Eventually, everyone will be replaced by robots, and I'll be a happy camper. But until then. I also used to do the thing where at the deli where you'd go to the kiosk so you wouldn't have to talk to a person, and you'd use that where you put in your deli meat order, and then over there they go, deli order 46 now ready for pickup, and then you just go grab your deli stuff, and then you're good to go.
I always found it so mysterious. Like I've seen that was happening, but I didn't understand. Like, I needed someone to take me aside and be like, "Look, this is how this works," before I'm comfortable
Did you
doing
just think
it.
it just magically showed up?
No. I mean, I assumed, but I wasn't willing to take the like the risk of embarrassment of like, I don't know, messing it up, accidentally ordering like 10 pounds of ham or something.
Could you imagine? It's like just a whole hog. Be like, how'd I get this? That's not what I ordered.
Not what I wanted. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Supermarkets, man. Oh, the closest supermarket to my new apartment is a Trader Joe's, and I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody said, I don't know if this is just a person like making an on-the-fly assessment or this is true, but someone suggested that it's the smallest Trader Joe's in the world. It actually might be the smallest Trader Joe's in the world. It's quite tiny. It's like large general store size.
Nice.
And it's underground.
Like in the event of a nuclear apocalypse, you could shop at the Trader Joe's.
I think so. I mean, it's only one floor underground. Like, you walk in the door and take the escalator down. So I'm not sure it's like fallout shelter deep. But if it was like a light nuclear apocalypse, then might make it through.
What is that? What is a light nuclear apocalypse? Is that like a light rain shower?
You know, what's funny you mentioned that.
Just like mildly inconvenient. You just like a little bit of nuclear fallout.
How nuclear.
Your
nuclear
hair
apocalypse.
turns into little tiny worms, but that's it, really.
It's funny you mentioned that because there was an article the other day that our current presidential administration is considering looking into investing, and these have existed for a long time, we just never made them, mini nukes, which is totally a thing where they're nukes small enough you put them on like a small railgun cannon type thing, and you can they're like, you know, they're of a more reasonable size, and they obviously make a nuclear explosion, but a much smaller, a more limited nuclear explosion. And I always thought that was the problem with nuclear weapons. They weren't portable enough. I said, I want to take my nuclear warhead anywhere, on the go, you know?
Wow.
So,
who knew?
So just think about the future we're building here.
Yeah, bad.
Positive stuff.
Indeed.
Super. Well, I'm glad we got to. Thank you, Dan. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. By the way, if you'd like to hear more of Dan Miller's interesting thoughts, you should go check out upfordebate.tv because we published this week a special bonus episode where Dan and I talk about robots, all the robots, the home robots, and the future of robots.
The whole time I thought we were recording this podcast, and no, I accidentally recorded another podcast.
Yeah, he thought we were doing Don't Panic. I'm like, no, Dan, we haven't started yet. He's like, well, what did we do that for? I'm like, relax, we'll publish it. So it's at upfordebate.tv. It's our bonus episode, Talking Robots with Dan Miller. Check it out.
So you duped Dan into recording a podcast against his will?
I didn't even pay him. It was great. He did it for free.
We got to unionize, man.
I can just imagine you guys and Matt striking. They're like, we're sick of these unfair working conditions. We need our half-hour mandated break in the middle of the show. Nope.
Have you heard from Matt? Do you know where he is?
Scabs. I as far as I know, he might be in the United States.
Okay.
That's about as much as I've heard. So
that's good.
Your guess is as good as mine. Eventually, we'll return to doing. We're doing it up for debate, not this coming week, but the following week we'll be back. He said so.
Cool.
We will do that. Look forward to that.
Cool.
Let's go ahead and check out the week's tech news. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
We
certainly
technically
didn't get to much of that last week.
No, but honestly, there's not a ton it's not an overwhelming amount of news this week. But we're going to talk about some of it. And I don't know if there's anywhere you guys would like to start. We've got Potential changes to the iPhone that hasn't even come out yet. We've got audiobooks for dogs, threats to Airbnb, Apple Watch with LTE, LinkedIn, Facebook, Surface, Netflix. What do you say? What's grabbing your attention? Eye on the prize. What's jumping out at you?
I just looked at the one that says NYC hotel industry claims Airbnbs are enabling terrorists.
Oh, this is fun. You got it when you have the opportunity. Actually, I'll play just the video for the folks watching the video version of this show, that they can see the attack ad against Airbnb that's been airing. And it says, who's in your building? Airbnb allows illegal listings and refuses to hand over the addresses to the authorities. Are you at risk? And they imply that terrorists will use Airbnbs to come into your building. They incorrectly claim that the Manchester bomber used an Airbnb, which he did not, and claim that New York City is not safe because Airbnb refuses to provide addresses to New York's officials. They say, who's in your building? Airbnb won't say. Call and stand up for New York safety and security. This is an attack ad from the Hotel Association of New York City. The 30-second ad has been part of a $500,000 ad buy that's been running for 10 days, morning and evening on major networks like CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. The Hotel Association of New York City ad claims Airbnb refuses to provide law enforcement with specific listing addresses, though it also did not clarify which legislation would tackle this issue. And yeah, they're fighting with Airbnb. Airbnb posted a counter ad in which they say, no, Airbnb's good. We don't rent to terrorists. And there you go. So it's getting rough out there. It's like a political campaign. I'm Airbnb and I approve this message.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on with Airbnb for a long time.
Yes, our New York City correspondent finally coming in handy. This is great.
Tell us your Airbnb to New York.
Well, here's the only thing I know about this firsthand is that Airbnb maintains a pretty substantial advertising presence in New York that I feel like isn't present in other areas. There's lots of subway ads, the kind of traditional advertising you'd expect. But they also are like the title sponsor of one of the biggest marathons in the city, the Brooklyn Airbnb Marathon. And that just started, I think that this was just their second year doing it or something. So Airbnb is fighting back, thankfully, much more traditionally than the whatever special interest group put this up. Do we know who paid for this?
Yeah, it was paid for by the Hotel Association of New York City, Local 6, yeah. AFL-CIO, and some other unions and the hotel industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens in New York. I feel like New York and San Francisco and places like this. So, for example, I live in New York, so I haven't really had to experience this. But if I'm going to San Francisco and it's not paid for by a rich company or not planned really far in advance, I'm going to get an Airbnb just for cost savings. I'm not after some serendipitous host experience or anything. First of all, it's a room that's available at all, and it's cheaper than the rate 3 weeks out. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, the hotel, if you want Hotel Association, if you want people to come back to your, first of all, if you want to make more money from people in New York and San Francisco, build more hotels. Because, let me tell you, 3 weeks out, there's not much under $500 a night available.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think... And again, as you pointed out, it's not surprising the Hotel Association is in the same way taxi people are mad at Uber. I mean, that's how these things work. I'm just taken aback at the sheer aggressiveness of this ad campaign, and it doesn't get more aggressive than accusing the person you don't like of cahooting with terrorists. That's aggressive stuff. So
no, but it is the modern day equivalent of comparing something to Hitler Like, it's the ultimate way to shut down any conversation, any debate. Yeah.
And it's like any good political attack. What they don't want you to know is that, and they always...
Everything's in black and white.
Yes, with the dramatic announcer.
Yep.
What else are they hiding? And so it's
Couldn't steal a car.
Oh yeah,
you wouldn't steal a car.
Man, that was.
You wouldn't beat an old lady with her own handbag.
So why would you steal music? Those were great. I love a good political attack. Who was running for Congress or something? And they kept accusing her of being a witch. Do you remember that one from a couple years ago?
Were they gonna try to see if they'd let her throw her in the water and see if she'd float or anything like that?
I just Googled campaign witch, which actually worked. Christine O'Donnell, that's who it was, back in 2010. She was running for Senate in Delaware, and for some reason, and I cannot remember why, they did a whole campaign about how she was a witch, like literally a witch, and that was like the campaign fight, witchcraft.
Was she a witch?
O'Donnell said back in 1999, quote, "I dabbled into witchcraft. I never joined a coven. I hung around people who were doing those things. We went to a movie and then had a little midnight picnic on a satanic altar, and I didn't know it." And they kept playing that clip in campaign ads where they're like, "Would you vote for Christine O'Donnell? She believes in witchcraft." And they like, if you ever get the chance, go see some of those old ads. Those were pretty fantastic.
Oh, I would absolutely vote for her.
And then she put out an ad in which she declared, "I'm not a witch." It was great.
No, I think who would you rather have represent you? Some like handsy-pansy lawyer who's hasn't worked a hard day's work in his life. Definitely a he, right? Was the opponent a he in this case?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or someone who's literally had to coven with supernatural forces and that's a lot of internal struggle. If she can sort of exploit demons and fairies and things like that, really, because at that point you just want to get more benefit than you're trading out, like your deal with the devil. You want to get more than you're giving. That's what you want in a representative. You want to get more than you're giving. You want your congressman to be able to get more money for your district than you are trading away in political favors. So I think I would vote for a witch for my congressperson.
Okay, but what if I doubled down and said Christine O'Donnell in 1996 took a public stance against masturbation, calling it sinful and equating it with adultery?
Well, I'm just saying everyone has their downsides.
Oh, Dan is really standing up for failed congressional candidate Christine O'Donnell. Good for you.
This is just something I've been realizing recently. Like, politicians are they're in the business of making deals, but that's the whole game. What better deal maker than someone who's made an actual deal with the devil?
Wow, that could have been a campaign slogan.
Yeah.
I've dealt with the devil. Now I can deal with
reach
Congress.
Across the aisle. I've made deals with devils before. That one goes both ways. So
awesome, Dan. This is.
By the way, up for debate episode, attack ads.
We honestly, it's on my list to we want to make up a political candidate, and we have to make up like a slogan and a backstory, and we'll have you on. You'll be our political consultant, Dan.
All right. Next time I'm on the podcast, make sure I know that I'm on it.
Yes, we'll make you aware. I think that's the only time we'll ever have you on is when you don't know you're on it. that needs to be a running joke because I think that would be great. We'd like to thank our guest, Dan Miller.
About things before Don't Panic to Sean.
Yep. They might end up on the wrong feed. All right. Anyway, go stay at an Airbnb, fuel terrorism. All right. So what else do we have here?
Well, okay, yeah, let's talk about this Apple Watch thing.
Yeah,
there's actually a bunch of stuff tied up in this story, Sean. I'm amazed that this is the only one that you thought worthy of discussing.
Well, what else was there?
Well, I'll tell you when.
All right, you tell
Give
me.
us your
All right, let's start with this one. According to Bloomberg, Apple is planning to release an Apple Watch with built-in LTE this year, an integration that would allow Apple Watch owners to leave their iPhone behind and still get near full functionality out of the watch. That's really all we know. They could sell the watch with or without LTE, like it does with the iPad. Obviously, charge a premium for the cellular service, an extra data plan. Commenting on the report, John Gruber at Daring Fireball said that he's heard there'll be a, quote, all-new form factor this year. Ooh. But there you go. The updated watch
every 2 years. That's about how it goes, right?
Yeah. Although, again, I don't know how... it's a watch. I don't know how... I mean, make it thinner?
Yeah, make it thinner.
An updated watch is likely to be announced in September along with the new iPhones. Interestingly enough, Bloomberg says Intel will be making the watch's LTE modem. This is interesting because Apple is in that big patent fight with Qualcomm, who is the dominant LTE modem supplier, not just for Apple, but for most companies. There you
go. Weird tangent. I think I sent you guys a Snapchat of this, but there are all kinds of like ads all over Boston for Qualcomm.
Yeah.
And they say like weird stuff like you love us and you don't even know it or something.
That's
well,
No, I was just going to say that's one of my favorite kinds of advertising is advertising for companies that have no business I used to work in one of those companies who used to sell high-grade plastics by the trainload, and we had to advertise to people. It's kind of like when you see an ad for a GE wind turbine, and you're like, I don't get why you're advertising to me.
Well, because you're advertising the off chance that some high-powered executive sees that ad and is like, we should invest in GE high-powered wind turbines.
Dan, it's all about the brand. You have to advertise it's not about the product, Dan. It's about the brand awareness, right? If you're like aware GE sells wind turbines, you might eventually buy a wind turbine. We need to be there when the thought strikes, when you're walking in the aisles of Walmart and you're grabbing things off the shelf and you say, oh no, I forgot to pick up the wind turbine. Where will I get one on such short notice? And then boom, GE pops into your brain. It's advertising, guys. That's how it works.
I mean, you're the expert, Sean.
Anyways, the watch. Yeah, I think that the watch there's no reason for the watch not to have LTE. If the battery life doesn't get worse,
but the extra data plan.
See, now that's where this is what I was thinking about. What if they could do like a Kindle thing? You buy an Apple Watch, it comes with free, you don't know quite whose cell service, but here's the thing: you can't you're not gonna be streaming video on an Apple Watch. You're not gonna be downloading apps. You can only do certain things over LTE. You can receive notifications. Maybe you can stream audio. Maybe. I think that would be pushing it. Otherwise, it's just a magical thing that works when it's not connected to your phone for all the things that it can do, which isn't that much anyways.
I like the idea, but at the same time, I'm thinking kind of in the opposite direction, which is if you're going to go and put LTE in it, then why not open the watch up? Because the watch then becomes a standalone device. Open it up to more options. Put a camera in it. FaceTime right from your watch, which I frankly don't think is an insane idea.
I do.
Okay. Netflix on your watch, Dan. Come on.
Here is the whole reason you would want to have LTE in the watch is so that you can take your watch and have it do smartwatch things when you can't take your phone with you. So where's the Venn diagram overlap of times I cannot have my phone with me and times that I want to watch Netflix? It's very small. What you're briskly walking slowly and want to watch no, you could have your phone if you're going to do that, right? Doesn't make any sense. I couldn't think of anything except downloading apps and streaming audio would be the two data intensive things I think I would want to do in my Apple Watch.
I agree with you.
Would you want it for is it exercise stuff? That's what the watch is for, right? If you exercise.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's the only thing I could think of where you would have your Apple Watch not connected to a Wi-Fi network and not have your phone with you would be if you're like doing some pretty strenuous exercise.
Well, and the best parts of a smartwatch are low speed. You're totally right, Dan. All the high speed parts of a smartwatch don't make much sense or don't work well. So while I'm with you that the idea of a WhisperNet type, connectivity comes with it type device is a great idea for the consumer, in no way is that a good business idea for Apple or the cell providers. Because they would honestly much rather have your $5 a month for the next forever than whatever cut rate Apple's going to try and extract out of Verizon.
Yeah, it depends what kind of deal Apple makes. Well, because here's the thing: if they sell these Apple Watches, they sell a good number of them now. And if you get the option of paying $5 a month, some number of people will not pay that $5 a month. I would argue probably most. But if Apple can build that into the cost, and then go to a T-Mobile and AT&T, something like that, and say, hey, so how about instead of you getting $5 a month for anyone who elects, we give you $3, $2.50, but flat every single device, we pay it. I don't know. That's could be compelling. Like, I'm sure that's how Kindle. And first of all, it's not like it's going to be a huge drain on their network, either. Like, I'm sure that's how Kindle sold it.
But even, again, I would imagine an LTE watch, while not using a ton of data, would definitely use more than a Kindle. Downloading the occasional book.
Yeah.
Also, like, why LTE? Well, I guess music, maybe.
Like, what are you going to do? Have a 3G radio in it? Like, there are probably markets where there aren't even 3G broadcasts, like developing places.
That's the other thing too, is you'd have to have multiple networks and I'm trying to look up. So apparently, because there have been LTE smartwatches before, that's not like a crazy new thing. And according to the internet, they have cost about $5 a month historically to add to an existing data plan, of course, if you have a monthly.
How much is an iPad add-on? Like $10 a month?
I want to say yes, so I will. Yes. No, I don't know exactly how much it is off the top of my head, but I'll see.
Here's the thing that's like, I think if you look at if you imagine a smartwatch just like floating out in the world without a phone connected to it ever, it might use a lot of data, but the reality is that it'll almost never be not on your Wi-Fi network, not connected to your phone.
Does a watch have Wi-Fi on its own?
Yeah.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah.
Do all the watches have that, or just
my original first one does.
Oh.
So if you're at home, you can leave your phone plugged in and walk anywhere that you have Wi-Fi signal, and your watch will still work, even if it doesn't have Bluetooth.
Neat.
Which also, though, means if people are working out at home, that already works great for them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's in the same way. I often in the past have thought, who buys an LTE iPad? But people do, so there's clearly a market for it. And if it's easy for Apple to just throw in an LTE modem and upcharge someone another $100 for it, they'll do it. So, is it actually?
That's not as exciting, though. I feel like obviously it's not as exciting, but if they want to, I think something like the magic of it always works like a Kindle does could really help propel the Apple Watch to the next level, where it's not just some like, it's nice. Look, we're the number one selling product in this category that's, a small bananas compared to the rest of our businesses. It doesn't even, people don't even have to use it that much. It just looks so good in the ad.
Well,
like, oh, look, you can go swimming off the coast with your Apple Watch, and your daughter calls you, and you can take the call, or whatever it is. Like, the ads practically write themselves with this. Even if someone only does that twice a year, being able to say that you can do that.
But technically, it wouldn't even be that hard, because all they would have to do is go. you can buy space on any one of these providers' networks. They sell them whole. That's how Virgin Mobile and Boost and all these other guys exist. They just rent the space, and you just do it. You say, look, you can get the basic for free, and it's app updates and notifications, and then there's the premium where it's $5 or $10 a month.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And you
put
get
a limit on it. You get like 100 megabytes, 200 megabytes a month for free.
Well. The problem is once you start talking mega, then the ad is really starting to get lame because it's like for another 100 megabytes. I like the idea of just all notifications and app updates. You can have it doesn't matter. That's the magic part. Is it just always works? However, if you want to stream audio or do fancy shit, then
okay, yeah,
I like that. I like that, Sean.
And I would do that actually. But the problem is then they're like I said, they're going to charge you another $150 for the LTE version. Which I think is going to be a tough pill for people to swallow.
Yeah.
But honestly, I would use that more than an iPad. Like, I really like my iPad for what it does, but I'm so rarely using my iPad not on Wi-Fi that maybe once a month it might be useful. I would find that functionality in Apple Watch useful in like smaller time periods, but much more frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
And if it's just a one-time $100 cost, like I'm still wearing this Apple Watch 2 years in, and it works great. Like, absolutely.
I was gonna say on the iPad thing. Do you think that's because you live in a city?
No, like I'm either using my iPad at home or in the place I'm going, and only in the time it takes you to get from my home to that place do I wish that my iPad had LTE. But then, like, here's the other thing, and, you know, people who are, I don't know, don't have enough stuff to do in their lives complain about how, oh, but I know I can connect it to my iPhone, but it's so much work. It's like, no, it's not. Just, like, press those three buttons, system preferences, personal hotspot, flip on, boom, everything's connected, and it turns out, a lot of the times when you're traveling from point A to point B, there's no LTE anyways, because you're either moving too fast or you're in the air.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
Agreed. Now, Dan, what was the other part of the Apple thing you were...
Oh, there's all of this news that came out of where this bit of news came out of. This like firmware dump. I don't know.
Oh, well, the problem is, Dan, that was on the rundown last week, and we just never got to it. That's fine.
Right.
There's no time like the present. We can go through it because.
We got like the notch. We got the notch thing. The theory that this new iPhone Pro is going to have a full glass, but there's going to be a little notch out of the top that isn't like a part of the display. It's going to have the front-facing cameras and the sensors in it.
Well, so a slight bit of background. So this all began when Apple accidentally released the code to HomePod, the code that runs on HomePod, which in and of itself was interesting. Turns out it actually runs iOS, just without a screen, and it doesn't support third-party apps or extensions, according to that version of the firmware. We even learned a few things about HomePod, including what the buttons do on top, which control Siri's dismisses alarms or timers or does volume control. Also that the HomePod LEDs are actually detailed enough that they could like write letters and spell things out on them if they wanted. But within that was a couple big things. One, biometric kit, maybe, ? Which was referenced in the code itself. BK Face Detect, which is not a cool new DJ, I learned.
Based in Brooklyn.
Yeah, DJ BK Face Detect. Where supposedly the BK might be biometric kit, and the BK Face Detect might be a reference to infrared face unlock on the new device. The other part was, as Dan mentioned, I'll put up on the screen for those of you at home, this little icon, a bezel-less sort of full display phone device where it's just got the little cutout at the top, as Dan mentioned, where the front-facing camera and sensors would be. And then there was even more follow-up, because this was leaking for quite a while. There were other stories about the actual dimensions of the screen itself, which, according to the leaked code, could be 1125 by 2436. Now, that may not sound like much, but that's actually like a wider but cropped version, and there's speculation that because it's cut off, a physical 5.8-inch screen would only display 5.15 inches, because at the bottom there would be a strip that would be your home strip, including a virtual home button without actually having a real home button. Did any of that make sense as I said it out loud? The graphic really does a lot better. I'm sorry for the audio listeners. I'm really trying.
No, that makes sense. So actually, it's going to look a lot. It's going to share a lot of similarities with the Android phones that don't have hardware buttons.
Yes, there was.
I think the thing that could make it not suck, kind of like those do, is if it's just like the button that doesn't move on the iPhone 7. But there's a screen there. If this button was just part of the screen, I don't think I would care that much, because it's just a disc with a little textured bit around the outside. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it would be super weird if it didn't have a physical, like you couldn't feel where it was. That would be so strange.
But would there be anything else on the bottom besides the button? And if you just hard press on anywhere on the lower...
Oh, just the whole thing is a button?
Sure, there's a graphic that displays them. But I don't know how it's actually going to look. I'm just...
I've seen really... There was a great... If you guys are in the rundown, it's actually the fourth link in that row, where someone does some kind of theory around the design of iOS 11 and how that would... what a virtual home button would look like on an iPhone Pro. I'll put it up on the screen again you gotta go watch the video. It's the best way to see the show. And I'm super on board. I don't need a home. There's one hang up, and I'll say that in a second. I love the idea of the screen being the home button, because what about when you don't need a home button? Mm-hmm. Or what the home button can be when it's not a button. And when you get all that extra screen real estate you get when it goes edge to edge, you can add in, and what this person's positing is a lot of the menu that in iOS, right? A lot of the top menus have the back arrow, and imagine all that then on the bottom of the screen where your thumb actually is. Boom, there you go. In more useful screen real estate than having a physical button. Now, the downside is I'm extremely concerned about Touch ID, because I really love Touch ID, and there is a story in the rundown that apparently today one of the really good Apple expert predictor guys said that they're not going to do Touch ID under the glass in the new iPhone, which means either they're going to go just with the face detection stuff, they're going to put it on the back of the phone, they will do a button after all, but it won't be under the screen. I'm very concerned about that. That worries me, because I'm a fan of the fingerprint, not a fan of the face detection.
Yeah, face detection feels weird. I can't imagine face detection working well. I mean, maybe... I don't know. I guess I couldn't have imagined the fingerprint thing working well either, and it seems to work fine enough.
Well, my concern, I'm not worried about it being accurate necessarily, because I do feel like you can fix that with good cameras and software. I'm just concerned about, I've never seen a good face detection where a photograph of the person doesn't fool it. I'm that's what worries me more than anything else, is just how safe, not that fingerprints are 100% safe either, but
yeah.
I've never seen a good implementation of that.
I'm about to go squish a bug. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Ooh, this is exciting.
But we don't get to see or hear it.
No, we might be able to hear it.
He muted his mic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
God damn it.
What did you think you were going to hear, Dan?
I was hoping I would hear one of those, one of those nice, satisfying thwacks.
No, he didn't want to disrupt the show. We went ahead and did that for him.
Unless one of those fancy electrocuting fly swatters.
Ooh, those are nice.
What?
Yeah, have you seen these? It's like a tennis racket, but instead of hitting balls, you swat flies, and the wires are electrocuted. So as they pass through the thing, they just a loud pop.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, that sounds intense.
Little dead buddy.
And they make a great sound when you do it.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
It's very satisfying.
Nice. Nice.
I don't know. What are we worried about the next? Do we not? I mean, this phone doesn't exist yet. I mean, it's all speculation.
I'm worried, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and maybe it's fine.
Yeah,
they could do like so. One thing I've been thinking, if they could do like they have like a dedicated processor for doing this, and like your phone is always looking around it to see if you're in the area, and then if you like lift your phone up and it's like, oh, it's lifting up to the face that I've already verified is Dan's face. I'm already unlocked. That would be good. Of course, that falls apart if you put your phone down face down or something, or if it's in your pocket.
What if like you're asleep and just someone next to you like picks up your phone and like points it at your face? Does your phone just unlock then?
Well, but they also could take your finger and just put it on the fingerprint reader too.
That's
depends on how heavy of a sleeper you
knock you unconscious first. Well, I guess it depends on how deep of a sleeper you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like. In theory, I think face detection is just as secure as fingerprints. In order to like spoof a face without having access to the person, you need to like 3D print the face, presumably, because it's going to look for like depth and things like that. You can't just hold out a printout of someone's face.
It's the Samsung phones you can do that. Samsung phones you can do that.
Okay, it's certainly possible to write something that'll only work with a picture, but I certainly hope that Apple wouldn't be as so naive as to do that.
Well, that's what worries me about Apple is I'm really getting tired of this form over function BS where they're like, yeah, we could make the battery last twice as long. Instead, we decided to make it a millimeter thinner. You're welcome. And I'm like, no. And so that's what worries me is it's like, are they so obsessed with losing the home button that they're going to take away a good functionality and replace it with a lesser functionality? And it's like, if the technology isn't right, then the iPhone 8 has a button and you wait until the iPhone 9 to introduce it. There was an article out today that Samsung wanted to do the screen-embedded fingerprint reader in the Note 8, which is being announced this month. And they couldn't get it to work, so they pushed it to the Note 9. I said, good. If it doesn't work, you don't put it out.
Yeah.
So that's baloney.
Do Android people use the fingerprint reader?
I don't know why they wouldn't.
Well, it used to suck.
I'm sure it's fine.
I remember when it first
though?
came out on the Android phones, you had to
sure.
Yeah, like I don't know what you call it, like strumming. You have to strum the fingerprint reader with your thumb. Like, okay.
I'm sure it's a lot better now. Although they use it to unlock the phone. Probably I don't know if people are using Android Pay. I used Apple Pay for the first time in like a year at a Dunkin' Donuts the other day.
Really?
And everyone made a big fucking deal about it. The lady in line behind me, oh my god, it's so fast now. And I'm like, why are you talking to me?
It is. I will say Apple Pay is so much faster than using your credit card.
Using a chip? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I use it all the time. All the time.
Yeah, I've been using it a lot more now. The thing I like now is like all the readers have like the logo in the software built in. So it's never like, does it work?
Sir, what are you trying to do? We only accept real money here.
Right.
Yeah. I one of these days I'm going to take the Apple Pay challenge and just try and use it exclusively.
Ooh.
I'm not there yet. When I get the Apple Watch, I think I will. And that will come someday. Eventually the Pebble will stop working.
Yeah. I keep having the problem where my Pebble watch band gets really smelly because I have like a cloth one. So if I ever like we went to Hawaii and did a bunch of exercise and I was wearing it and now it's like smells bad. Like shit.
Classic problem.
Yeah.
Wait. How did we get on this?
Colby, you just put it in the washer and dryer, low on tumble. It's fine.
I mean, that's what I'm going to do.
Cold water, detergent, no fabric softener.
I'm just going to throw it in with the rest of my clothes.
It's fine. People do that all the time.
Yeah.
Throw the watch part in, too. Get it nice and clean. It's waterproof, right?
Water resistant, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I got an Apple Watch.
I was about to say, if you're really looking for a replacement, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think customer support will help you out on that one. Or really any problem. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah. I want it's dirty.
Like, yeah, sorry, sir, we don't exist. All right, well, we're oh, it says here, Zachary Friss on Facebook. Look, oh my gosh, we've got smart people on Facebook. He says, also seems like the face detection will work with the rear camera while your phone is lying down.
Oh!
Boom. I'm going to like that.
Why does it need to do that? Why is it detecting me from
well, no, but Dan's theory of it constantly knowing what's going on around you, if it's face down, then they'll just use the rear camera. Oh my God, your phone's always watching.
Yeah, and actually, if we assume that works, then maybe the phone knows a lot. Like it's using like the ARKit stuff, and it's like, okay, Dan just put the phone down on the nightstand, and he laid down in bed. That person is Dan. You know how like it watch tracks you because you like Touch ID when you put it on your wrist. And it's like, okay, Dan is saying that the wrist is Dan's wrist, right? So you could extend that concept one step further. The phone knows what you look like, and it knows where you are in the room, and it can keep track of you. So it knows as you come up to it, like, oh, this is Dan picking up the phone. I'm good to go. Dan is sitting in this chair. Dan is laying in this bed. I'm going to remember that. I can remember that as long as I stay on that Dan is laying in this bed closest to me, and if that person reaches out and picks up the phone, I know it's Dan. If this person leaves the field of vision, hypothetically, if you had a phone in your room, Sean is looking at me like I'm insane.
I'm so confused.
All right, so imagine that I have taken you and I've nailed you into the floor, and like a human game of cups, I say, okay, Sean, I have $1 million. And then I walk around the room with 6 other people. You'll be able to keep track of who I am, no problem, right?
I don't know how to answer that.
Oh my God!
Why did he have to be nailed into the floor?
And where did you get $1 million?
He doesn't need to move to keep track of this. As long as he knows that who Dan is.
And who are these other people? Dan.
Never mind.
It
can keep track of you in the room,
yes.
and as long as. Actually, even if you left the room and came back, as long as it saw you come back and could, like, identify you as you again, by the time you pick up the phone, it might already be unlocked.
Yeah, but Dan,
as long as it knows that it's you picking up the phone.
As far as I see, the biggest problem is when is your phone ever pointing its camera at an angle where that's not the ceiling or the ground or your pocket?
Right.
But I did, here we go, I'll double down on the Apple Watch here, new form factor. What if they put this technology in the Apple Watch and it uses your face to unlock it for Apple Pay and other watch-related things? Because it's hard to put a fingerprint reader into a watch. You can put a camera into a watch. Small camera, tiny camera.
Yeah, but hypothetically, if you were to authenticate that your watch is on you in some way, the way it works right now is if I go in Safari and go to a website that supports Apple Pay and I buy something, the only thing I have to do on my watch is say, yes, I meant to buy that, because it knows that it's on my wrist. So, in that scenario, you do some face dance to authenticate that your watch is on your wrist in the morning, and then for the rest of the day, you just like, boop, you just tap the
Yeah, but
thing.
how much more secure would it be? Because that's the one piece of technology that does face your face.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Apple's working on this, because we are not going to solve this one.
I feel like my idea is a good idea.
You're going to nail me to the floor, Dan.
Absolutely.
That's a bad
because you're
plan.
a witch.
And Dan has $1 million. And he's just going to run around the room rubbing it in my face. You can't find me and my $1 million. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Gentlemen, unless there's a story you really want to get to, we're out. We got to move on to picks.
Oh.
Dave Knight says on Facebook, "This got dark, LOL." Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
We started with witches and covens, and that's where we're ending.
And Dan is sacrificing me to the Apple gods. Yeah, we're gonna move on to picks, the part of the show where each of us come to the table with something cool and interesting we want to talk about. And Dan, didn't you already pick this? Or am I thinking of something else?
We talked about it. Here, wait. Let me use my favorite Don't Panic website feature.
I thought.
No, I did not pick it.
Okay, fair enough. So what are you picking?
All right, so a couple of months ago, I got fortunate enough to get a Nintendo Switch, but since then, I haven't really had time to play video games until, like, the past month. And only in the since I went to Hawaii, I finally got back into the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. And it's awesome. So I didn't really have time to devote to it when I first got it, and I played it in fits and starts, which is not really the right way to play any game, especially early on. Now I've sort of gotten into it. It is a really, really fun open world game. It's pretty hard, but hard in like one of those good ways. Because everything is skill based, there is no levels. Like, if you die, it's just because you messed up. Like, there's no like, oh, I have to go. Sometimes you need certain items to get into an area, but it's not like, oh, I just gotta go kill monsters for 2 days until I'm strong enough. Like, none of that stuff. So it's really rewarding. It's really whimsical and fun. Like, there are some really humorous moments. The characters are kind of ridiculous. The world is beautiful. Looking at it either on the handheld or on a big 1080p screen, the sort of cartoony visuals look like some sort of crazy Miyazaki film. The sunsets are like really strangely awesome. Anyways, I've been having a lot of fun recently, especially being able to just take this anywhere. I've never been able to take a game like this anywhere. It's always been something like, all right, I'm going to have like 2 hours this day. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to make more progress on this crazy, complicated, AAA game. Never before have I really been able to just take it with me. So that's been really cool. Also, extended pick, I sort of reviewed the Nintendo Switch when I got it, but I only had it for a couple days. A couple months in, I can say that it works exactly like you described, or as advertised. You can unplug it, plug it back in. It works just as well, not connected to a TV as it does. You can do multiplayer, just like plop it on a table somewhere. If you're traveling, I've done that a couple times. Or balance on my knee, as the case may be in an airport. Yeah, if you happen to be able to get a Nintendo Switch, actually, I would say if you like these open world kind of games and you're amenable to Nintendo's sort of humor, I think Breath of the Wild is worth a Nintendo Switch, especially because now there's a lot more good games. When I first got the Nintendo Switch, there was no Mario Kart. Now there's that. Splatoon is apparently really great, but I haven't played it. ARMS is apparently really great. There's new Mario games coming out, so Nintendo Switch earns the 3-month seal of approval.
Now, Dan, can you play Mario Party on it?
Not yet. I'm sure you will be able to.
Oh boy, that's a deal breaker right there. But for everyone else who's normal, check it out. That's a deal breaker, ladies. Yeah, go check out the Switch and Breath of the Wild. Very cool. Thank you, Dan. Colby, what have you? Oh boy, I love it when you get really specific with your picks.
I have a dumb pick. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, I moved this past week, and it turns out when you're moving, there are people who you can give money and they will like move your stuff for you. And it's great. So like, if you, I feel like this is particularly effective for like short moves. Cause I think when you're moving like cross town or cross state, that tends to get more expensive. However, if you're like just moving within the city and it's going to take a couple of hours, like, I think it might be worth it. And it was absolutely worth it for me because I went from the 4th floor to the 4th floor, and these people moved everything very quickly and efficiently, and it was done. It was done in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I guess. Again, I didn't have a lot of stuff, but it was great. So if you are moving and would like to save yourself some time and hassle, there are people who take care of that for you.
Did you box everything up?
I box everything myself. Yeah.
That's a real pro tip right there. A lot of people don't know is you can pay movers to do any part of the moving process. They don't have to do the whole thing, which is great because that's what I did. Was in Houston. I was on the third story, and I had to pack a truck to drive 2,000 miles. So I boxed everything myself. Hired them just to take the things out of my apartment, down 3 flights, and load up and secure the truck. And it took them like 2 hours. It was not expensive. And it was like the best thing I could have done because it saved me a ton of time and not a single thing moved for the entire journey. So, like, don't assume it's going to be super expensive. Go price out different parts of your move, and then it's okay to be a la carte and pick and choose.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Or just don't move.
Professionals for nothing. Yeah, or stay in the same place.
That sucks. Don't move. Moving is bad. Except for Colby's new place, which I hear is awesome. All right. It's time for last pick, my pick. We've mentioned on the show the Do By Friday podcast, which we're all big fans of, and if you're not a subscriber, you should go listen to. And on that show, they dedicated an awful lot of time to talking about dude wipes and the idea of you're an adult in 2017, you deserve nice things in life, like wet wipes. And so they specifically teased out dude wipes. I was ordering on Amazon. So, by the way, small side story. I know why Amazon makes so much money. I wanted a bag of almonds, but I did not want to go to the store. So I said, I know, I'll just go on Amazon and buy a bag of almonds, right? Seems like a common food item, right? No, you got to buy a prime pantry box to get almonds. Well, all right, so I'll get almonds, and I needed some dishwasher packets and some tin foil. So all of a sudden, I've spent $100 on stuff for my prime pantry box. One of them being dude wipes, which they recommended to me, and so I picked them up. I should have grabbed them and brought them in with me, but they're exactly what they described. They're wet wipes. I will not go into the details of how you should or should not use them. All I will say is I have used wet wipes in the past, and the problem I always had with them was that they were too wet. Now, I know that sounds insane, but if you've ever used wet wipes, Dan knows what I'm talking about, where they're just like soaking wet. You have to like wring them out, right? You know what I'm talking about? I'm not crazy. Right. Stay with me here. So the great thing about dude wipes is A, they are appropriately, they're like lightly damp. It's perfect. And 2, they have no...
One might even say that they're moist.
I wouldn't even go that far.
Oh, okay.
They are like, I don't even think there's a word for the appropriate amount of water content within the wipe. Misted, lightly misted.
Like you have like a plant that doesn't need a lot of water. You just you sort of spritz it.
It's dusted with water. It's great.
Ooh.
And so there's that, and no fragrance, no chemical smell. They're very just kind of like mild, and they're perfect not only for doing your business, which you know, great, good for you. What I have found is at the end of the day, I get a little, just naturally get a little greasy face. I'm a busy guy. And they're great for you can use them all over they're great for that because I've used other products and they either leave a film or they don't. Honestly, they're actually very good wipes, and I do actually recommend them. You can go and try them. You can get them in the big pack, or you can get them individually wrapped. And they really are good for all kinds. They're just very mild. They're just very mild. So There you go, dude wipes. I think the first and hopefully last hygiene product pick we'll ever make on.
Are you gonna get a dash button for your dude wipes?
Can you really?
Yeah, you can.
Maybe I don't go through them that often, but if I start to see.
Has someone made like a giant? I'm thinking one of those like those pegboards you have like in your garage, like hang your tools off of, but just covered in a grid of dash buttons. So you come down every week, every Sunday, and you're like, boop, 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 boop. You have this, okay, right, click this one,
your
that one.
Your control panel. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, your Amazon control
Oh, my
panel.
God. Could you imagine on Etsy, like, a homemade, oak-crafted...
dash button.
Dashboard. The dashboard.
Oh!
Dude, that's a good... Dude, write this down. Yeah. This is a keeper. Boom. This is a good idea. I like this. No, thank God. I will not get a button for my dude wipes.
It's too far.
Yeah, although I did have all right, I'm not going to try and get too bathroomy here, but I did have a question, which was, if you get the individually wrapped ones, like the pocket ones that are in the individual, and then you kind of open them in there. And let's say you use them in the toilet when you're doing your business, and that's fine. What do you do with the wrapper? Like, you can't. I don't think you can. They make one. You can't flush it, so I guess you have to just put it in your pocket. I feel like they didn't think that one through. They should have made.
Or like throw it away on your way out of the bathroom.
Yeah,
like,
but like you got to be slick because then there are other. You want to be the guy with the little wet wipe.
I see. So you're embarrassed about it. Like you're fine with talking about it on your podcast.
Nobody listens to the show. Cut me some slack here. I run into more people in the bathroom than people who listen to this show. Let me be clear.
In your bathroom?
It's a busy bathroom. No, what I'm saying is, we're not getting into my bathroom habits. No, all I'm saying is, why don't they make a wrapper you can flush? That's all I'm saying, and then you solve the problem.
Wait. Why do you need a wrapper you can flush? You want to be discreet about the fact that you have dude wipes?
It's not disposable if you have to. It's not flushable if you have to also then throw away the wrapper later. Like, that's not a good customer experience. That's all I'm saying. I want to be done with it when I leave the stall. That's what I'm saying.
Wait, are these individually wrapped?
Yes, for on the go. You're supposed to use them outside of your home. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. And you keep them in your wallet, I guess, or your pockets. I don't know. Your purse, your man bag. I don't know. But anyway, this is fantastically off the rails.
Yeah, I would.
And we're way
love
over
it
time.
If someone could write in and tell Sean what he should do.
Yes, please solve my bathroom problems. They're really weighing on me. Stay for the after
Sean's
show.
Heavy bathroom problems.
Yeah, our new after show. Stick around where we'll talk about me using the bathroom more. But we have to stop. For the love of God, we have to stop.
Thank God.
Our time is thankfully up. But of course, you can get this show anytime on our website at don'tpanic.io. It's really nice. These guys built it. And the audio and the video are there. The pics are also there. You can go get the links if you're interested in video games or butt wipes. You can go get them right there on the website. Also, links to subscribe, of course, on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Overcast, really anywhere you get podcasts. The video version at youtube.com/don'tpanicshow. Be sure to subscribe, and it'll come up in your subscriptions on YouTube. And, of course, reach out to us at Don't Panic Show on Twitter, facebook.com/Don'tPanicShow, where we stream the show live Monday nights, and don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. Now, we will be back next Monday, for more, hopefully more tech news and less potty jokes, but there's really no guarantee or promise about that. So we'll do our best, we promise. But until then, on behalf of Colby and Dan, this is Sean, thanking everyone for joining us. Hoping we'll see you next time for more great times here on a new Don't Panic.